With Scott, I come to one specific event in our lives. It was the summer of 1986. We were playing out in the sprinkler. I was 5 years old. I think Scott was 7 years old. It's gonna happen. I think Scott got bored and he told me to kneel down in front of the sprinkler. So at that time, like I said, I was 5 years old and I still trusted Scott, so I did. So I kneeled down in front of the sprinkler, let the cold water hit my back, and after a couple seconds, I started to realize that that cold water was not cold anymore. I turned around and saw Scott in all his inch and a half of his boyhood was peeing on me.
Where's brother?
So of course, my grandma McMurray, who could not be here to testify today, but I ran inside and told her, "Grandma, Scott peed on me." Of course, I don't think she knew how to handle it at the time, so she just said, "No, he didn't. Go back outside and play." So I did. From that time until now, I thought of what I can do to get back at Scott. And how am I going to do that?
Look that way.
So, just like Vanessa, I've been waiting for this day my whole life. And by the way, in case you guys were wondering, I told the bridesmaids that I would wear this today, so I'm wearing it. So, I was trying to think of something that I can do to embarrass Scott,
Pee on him.
which he did already today when he started to tear up. In case you guys weren't there today for the whole ceremony, he actually started to tear up when he was giving his vows, which was very sweet. Very sweet. Obviously, that wasn't in my speech because I wasn't ready for that, but I did come up with another moment in that. This goes back to high school wrestling dual team state finals in 1997. Some of you were there, yes.
Sorry.
Scott was wrestling Mark Peterson, who I don't think he's here tonight, but Scott was actually going into the third period of that match, winning 11-1. And if he held on to that win, Providence would win the state championship for the first time since 1989. That whole season, Scott fought to make weight, and in order to go to the bathroom throughout that whole year, he needed a little help. So, as Scott battled to hang on to that lead in the third period, he also was battling the effects of the laxative that he had took earlier that day. In the end, Scott lost both of those battles, which can all be seen on ESPN if you guys want to look it up. It's there. And actually, we have a clip. No, I'm just kidding. To be sincere, Scott and I have been the best friends throughout our whole lives. He was always...
Obviously. Higher.
I've always looked up to him in every way, and actually, as much as he has helped me shape who I am, I see a lot of myself in Scott. Especially looking down into his bald head, I do see a lot of myself.
Nice.
Honestly, he is a great older brother. He's always been there for me, taking me into his house in New Lenox and living with him. We've had some very great times together, which I won't get into for the sake of this marriage. But I do remember the day that Scott came home from working at Olympic Chiropractic, and he told me that he was in love. I asked him who she was, and Scott went on to tell me that she was the most beautiful girl he's ever seen. He told me she was 19 years old and the receptionist at his work, and my first thought, of course, was lawsuit. But every day for weeks, Scott would come home from work and he would tell me about Vanessa and how wonderful she was, and eventually he asked her out. After a couple of years, Scott and Dr. John Polson opened up Integrated Physical Medicine, which, in case you guys don't know, is a chiropractic clinic for bald men. Soon after, Scott and Vanessa would move in together, and our bachelor pad was gone. Soon, Bear's blankets would turn into decorative fleeces, decorations on the walls would go up, pictures of Scott and I would turn into pictures of Scott and Vanessa. One day I came home, and Vanessa was actually measuring out my closet space, and I knew that it was time for me to move out. I just wanted you guys to know that I love you very much, and I hope you're the best in life. Want everyone to raise their glasses and cheers to the bride and groom, Scott and Vanessa. I love you guys.
Good luck, Ryan.
And here is our best man number 2, Dr. Ryan Kenny.
Number 2.
That's a tough one to follow there.
Murder.
So I'm Ryan, obviously the youngest brother of the 3. Currently is appointed by Chris, best man number 2 for tonight. That's a topic of debate, we'll talk about that later. I do ask that all of you hold your applause and standing ovations till after the speech is over. As Chris said, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I'd also like to thank both the families for their contributions to everything, going from the rehearsal dinner to the ceremony to the reception tonight. Everything has been amazing. I'd also like to thank Scott for taking off of work to be here tonight.
And letting me off.
It really means a lot to all of us. I do think I did see him handing out some IPM business cards to some of the guests around here earlier, so he hasn't completely been off the hook. So being the oldest brother, I've always looked up to Scott, and I'm so happy he's found a beautiful bride in Vanessa. Scott truly deserves everything he has, and is one of the hardest workers I know. His marriage to Vanessa earlier today is proof that with a little hard work, anyone can overcome so many physical shortcomings. And truly make it right. It gets worse. So I've always been proud to call Scott my older brother. Growing up, I always knew that Scott had my back and was always looking out for me as I was the youngest. There was one time where Scott actually did try to deny that I was actually his brother. He had made it a point to tell me that Mom and Dad had been hiding a secret from me my whole life, that I was actually adopted, not his real brother. He kept this up for about a week, and those of you who know Scott, he's very convincing, even at a young age. So again, this went on for about a week before I finally had Mom produce a birth certificate. And I was only 10. So you can tell by the fact that there are 2 best men up here that Scott has a hard time making some tough decisions. It's either that or his ego wanted him to have both his brothers come up here and tell a large crowded room to tell how great he is. But I think he's starting to realize it backfired on him a little bit. Our parents would be so proud, by the way, that Scott asked Chris and I to be his best men. So we're both sitting at Chris's house watching TV, and Scott got all serious on us and actually muted the TV and looked over at us and said, So you guys are both going to be my best men, right?
Deep.
To which Chris and I looked at each other, so of course. Think you want to meet the TV already? So it was a very heartfelt moment for the Kenny boys. It's about as deep as we go. So there was one decision that Scott didn't have a hard time with, and that was to marry Vanessa. Vanessa, you look absolutely amazing tonight, along with your bridesmaids. Vanessa tries her hardest to make everyone around her happy and has brought happiness to Scott ever since the day they met. She makes him a better person and challenges him to do things he's never done before. The best example is this, when he took a cortisone injection in the knee just to run the Chicago Marathon alongside Vanessa. Well, not literally alongside her, we all know who wins that race every time. About the only time Scott ran alongside Vanessa was that morning trying to catch the train from Elmhurst. Scott and Vanessa, you two are perfect for each other, and I love you both. In closing, I'd like to propose a toast to the bride and groom. May today be the beginning of a wonderful new and long-lasting chapter in your lives, and may you always love, honor, and cherish each other just as you do today. So raise your glasses and let's cheers to Scott and Vanessa.
Good.